You failed in the past. I'm here to tell you that you got to focus on your future, and the only way you can focus on your future is to let the past be the past. Go on, touch somebody, say, let the past be the past. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow may never be mine. All I got to take is one day at a time. Sit down for a moment. If we're not careful, my sisters and brothers, we will remember our way right out of a blessing. God will be sending somebody with your blessing, but you remember what somebody told you they said about you last week. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach now. And you won't even have the right attitude to receive the blessing that's coming your way, because your mind will help you remember your way right out of a blessing. Verse 19, in proper context, the Hebrew writer is referring to Jerusalem's state of destitution, Jerusalem's state of hostility, their state of bitterness in which he had lost all hope, because he remembered his affliction. He remembered his misery. He remembered the wormwood and the gall. So he finds it difficult to be diverted from his somber frame of mind, because his mind keeps playing back the clip of everything bad that has happened in his life. And we've got to learn how to erase the VHS. Y'all ain't gonna help me now. We've got to learn how to erase the DVD that keeps playing in our mind and showing us over and over and over again what somebody said about us, what somebody did to us, how things did not work out for us. We've got to erase the clip from our mind and understand that God's future for us is not directly related to the past. Because it does not matter what happened in the past or who you were in the past. God specializes in creating and making new situations. God specializes in turning situations around and turning people around. And the very folk that were your enemy, God will use them to bless you. God will use them to lift you up higher. That's why he said he'll make your enemy your footstool, because your footstool will cause you to be lifted up a little bit higher. And so this verse ties back to verse number 18, and now Jerusalem is trying to justify, or should I say make excuses, as to why they lost hope in God. And so Jeremiah blames his lack of faith on his extreme circumstances and the fact that he's so pressed down by his affliction. However, we should not read the text and try to criticize Jeremiah or think it's strange that he responded this way, because as believers, we are not excluded from trials. We are not excluded from despair. We have failed from far less situations. I wish I had somebody in here. For some of us, the slightest change in the wind will cause us to look back on God with disdain. The slightest little setback will cause us to be challenged in our faith and to cry out, woe is me. We will complain at the mere forecast of a chance of rain. Oh, Lord, have mercy. And we go through those situations in our own life where our faith becomes challenged. But watch this in verse 20. What does he say? He says, my soul have them what? Still in remembrance. Now, still in remembrance, and is humbled in me. The word humbled comes from the word shua, the Hebrew verb which means to be bowed down, to be downcast. It refers to the despair of one's soul. Now you got to get this here. It refers to the despair when one's life is broken within them, when one's life has sunk into the ground in utter hopelessness. And it's interesting how something can move. Watch this. It started in his mind and now it's moved where? To his soul. It's interesting how something can start in the mind and move to the soul. You see, it's one thing to have a nasty taste in your mouth about somebody or something. It's bad enough. It's one thing when you detest or despise someone or something, but it's even worse when that pain has consumed you and now it's deep and starting to overwhelm you in your innermost being. It has gone from what you think in your mind down into the depths of your soul. So now you can understand what Jeremiah is feeling here. It's not just that he's looking at the situation from an intellectual perspective, but deep down within him, he is broken, he is afflicted. And when he says, oh, the misery this thing has caused, oh, the gall, deep-seated bitterness has gone down to his soul and has wreaked havoc in his life. In other words, he's saying, Lord, you got to help me because this thing has gotten a hold on me. And brothers and sisters, trouble will come our way sometime and it will catch us by the wrist and hold on to us, and it will set a seed deep down in our soul. And let me tell you something here, because many times we're carrying the seed of bitterness, we're carrying the seed of angst, we're carrying the seed of hatred down inside of us. And I want to tell you that it does more harm to you that's carrying the seed than to the object that it comes from. You see, you can hate me, but while you're catching ulcers about hating me, I'm living my life. I wish I had somebody in the building here. While you're getting sick over what you feel about a situation or what you feel about a person, that person ain't thinking about you. They're at home doing whatever they do while you're laying up in the bed all torn up, your mind all messed up. Don't ever let any situation have that much power over you that it robs you of your sleep, that it changes your disposition and your attitude, that it wipes the smile off your face, that it causes you not to interact properly with your loved one. Don't ever let the enemy put something deep down on the inside of you. You got to learn how to give it over to the Lord and let him handle it. Got to move on here. But what we see here is the conduct of a person in deep anguish. In fact, this is an excellent word picture of what happens when the soul is convicted and humbles itself. It's almost a good thing, sisters and brothers, that this thing went from his mind to his soul, because it's as if his soul goes into some secret place and tells his mind to be quiet. Shh. And once it's quiet, then gives himself over to moaning and tears, and then he bows himself before God as if his soul is saying, this mortal man has tried everything, but now I've got to take over. The soul says, I'm now in control. I got this. I'm going to take this from here. It's as if the soul is saying, I have to do something, for the mortal man's decisions will affect my future destination. And if I don't act, I'm going to end up in the pit with him. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to humble myself. Notice it said that he humbled himself. I'm going to humble myself, which in turn will call for him to humble himself in complete submission to God and to lie in the very dust of his despair. And I like this right here. The text tells us that his soul is humbled. In other words, something on the inside got a hold of him. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Something on the inside brought about a change in his mind. You see, Jeremiah wanted to quit. He wanted to throw in the towel. He wanted to say, take this job and shove it. I wish I